changing things without telling people what was going on. So that is the draft. So it's on that same draft, but there's no change to the rule for the voting on first reading. Once we know if the delegates are going to actually amend the rules with regard to attending via Zoom based on being in quarantine, and if that amendment passes, I will produce to all of the delegates a clean copy of the rules with all of the amendments and with the correct language on the, I think it's Rule 50 with the voting, so that everyone has the correct, accurate set of rules in front of them for the rest of the convention. So thank you for listening to me on that, and I hope that addresses everyone's concerns. And if anyone has a question, I'm happy to answer that. And I will say one other thing before I turn the mic back to Mr. President. I have not gone back to determine who it was who used the wrong copy that got us to where we are today, because I didn't think that was important. I thought it was important that we focus on knowing what the correct rules are and getting those correct rules to all of the delegates, and to explain to everyone the question that Delegate Canto asked originally, which is, where did that simple majority rule originate from? And I hope I've been able to answer those questions.
Thank you, Kathy. Those are good explanation, and I guess that is clarified, so we all understand and we're in agreement. We have yet to start, so I thought we discussed this. Any other comments on that?
Mr. President?
Yes, Chairman Nabayan.
I think when we go back, I think during couple of sessions back, this issue was put to doubt. So I think we need to clarify the threshold on the record, that it's 2/3.
That's correct. I thought that's what I was doing. It is 2/3, and that rule has not changed.
What I'm saying is, when we go back to session, we need to clarify that on the record, because it was.
I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah.
Now, on my second point, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. I think someone needs to introduce an amendment. The LC wrote the proposed amendment to further amend the rules to clarify that people in quarantine are eligible to participate virtually. And I think we need, since there's not much on the calendar today, I think somebody needs to move to place that issue on calendar, and we'll take action on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Nabayan. So Florida, are you ready to put that on, that particular issue, so that regarding the amendment to the rule to allow for those who are in quarantine, those in Pohnpei also?
Do you have an amendment? Proposed amendment?
So, there's a pending.
I suggest we move to suspend the rule for written filing of amendments and make a motion to place that amendment on calendar, since it was voted last night to everybody for review.
Should be on the resolution calendar because the rules here. But Mr. President, with all due respect to the explanation by our counsel, I don't really believe that it was the Duke delegation that suggested the simple majority. In fact, we were asking for a higher rule so that our numbers could at least have some useful purpose. When we came up here, and the pre-convention committee has already done its work, we looked at the rules. It was just tracking the law. There was no individual members in the quorum. So we suggested that to Myron to insert where members could be part of the counting of the quorum, and that's why we get the 6 plus 4 plus 2 plus 2 equal 14, which is the current language of the rule. But
It's fine, Chairman Fritz. I'll be happy to forward to you the emails I have from Delegate Hashiguchi and Delegate Neich.
those are
Specifically requesting that, and I really do take offense at the implication that I am not being honest with the convention.
Yeah, okay, so
Well,
you
you're
understand.
honest, Kathy.
They were
No
our
problem.
representatives who we kind of get mad at them when we arrived here and found out that that's what they did. So I thought we asked that it move up a little bit. So now we know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So that clarifies. So,
So on the issue of the further amendments to the rule, can we do this already today, or do we need to have a written filing by a member for the next session?
Mr. President, if I may,
yes,
just a
Delegate Cantero.
suggestion. I think there's merit to just making sure that from now going forward, any amendments to our rules are provided to each and every one of us in black and white, so we can actually see those amendments and act on it.
And done properly.
So give us time to look at the language we go through, so we once and for all just get rid of all these discrepancies and use some format that everybody has agreed to. I'm aware of what's being proposed, but I'm comfortable looking at the exact languages that will be changed to our current procedure. And at the same time, if I may just also add, I vividly recall some being privy to some emails back and forth from the delegates, pre-convention delegation of Chuk regarding what Kathy just mentioned. So I just want to add that I think the intentions were pure. There were no malicious acts intended, but I think Kathy has a point in what transpired back then, and we had trust in the representative of Chuk delegation in the pre-con process. So that's what they wanted. Thank you.
thank you, Dr. Cantero. That is very true. So, are we going to consider it today, or no? We just
Put it in paper and submit
put it in writing.
So could I ask for a point of clarification at this moment? Have the rules at the document that I emailed to everyone last night, has that been printed out for you all now?
No.
In other words, do you have copies of that in front of you at the moment?
No. We don't have copies I've seen on the email.
All right, so let me ask the next question. When you get that language in writing, to make sure that we all understand what is being done with the rules, would you like me to put that amendment on the correct version of the rules with the 2/3 language for the voting on first reading, so there's no confusion what the final set of rules will look like?
Yeah, good.
Okay. All right, so let me do that and get it to Capilli, and so that he can have a staff member make copies, so all the delegates can take a hard copy of those rules with them before they leave the convention hall today. And for those delegates who are online, I will email a copy of those as well. Okay, so I'll do that while you guys continue with your business.
And if we may, we're making a printout of a document that will be the written proposed rule. Can we add on the illegal ISO and those illegal persons in quarantine also, because it will not take a lot of work?
That's the amendment.
Oh, that's the amendment. I take that back. Thank you, guys.
Chairman Arbut, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so just for the purpose of today's meeting, we will not go over the rules today. Once you print it out, submit it to us and let's review it, so we don't have any questions to any of the amendments. With respect to the previous rules that was mistakenly inserted, we shouldn't be discussing that anymore. That's a non-issue. We never amended the rules, so it remains as is, that we requires two-thirds. So any discussions of it now, I think it's moot.
That's very true. So, okay, so we agree that could be considered tomorrow, so we can, meanwhile, between now and tomorrow, we have it.
Mr. President, I don't want to belabor the point. I agree that the standard for passage on first reading was never changed. It was 2/3 and remains 2/3. But I think for purposes of record, during the session a couple of sessions back, that threshold was put into doubt on the record. So I think it's pretty incumbent upon us to clarify on the record once and for all that for posterity, the threshold that was used is correct. It was 2/3 and it was never changed. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Navayan. That is very true, yes. Florido, you're so eager to do that one? Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. President, so when we convene, or when we go into order, session, I mean, what are we going to do with the rules that we have? So that we can allow these people who are on screen to be able to participate? Who's not?
Ambassador.
Okay, so can we just suspend our rules when we go back and, I mean, when we go into session and amend it?
If we suspend the
To
rules,
allow
those
them
other
to
ones will not be able to
participate.
participate.
What about the others that were already adopted for them to participate? Because we amended the rule to allow the.
It depends how you phrase the motion. We'll be later in there, but if you state that the intent is just to deal with him without touching the other, it should be okay. Once we decide, our decision supersedes everything else. Now, I think the difficulty we have is because we just take the whole rule as printed and we consider it. Why not take those particular sections that we are trying to amend and say, Rule 32 of our rules of procedure is hereby amended to read as follows. And then it will be easier for us. Instead of giving us the whole rule, we have to flip through and look for it. And it will make his job much easier, right? Because you're already dealing with two particular rules.
Roll call, Chief Clerk.
Delegate Albert,
Amen.
Delegate Arnold,
Here.
Delegate Asher, Delegate Fossey,
Present.
Delegate Cantero, Delegate Chur,
Present.
Delegate Fritz, Delegate Ashukuchi, Delegate Ashukuchi, Vice President Izananka Neriarte, Delegate Canto,
Aye.
Delegate Louis,
Amen.
Delegate Martin,
Yay.
Delegate Maury, Delegate Nabayan,
Here.
Delegate Naich,
Yay.
Delegate Paulses,
Yes.
Delegate Risson,
Oy.
Delegate Simon, Delegate Samo, Delegate Samo, Delegate Sigra,
Here.
Delegate Susaya, Delegate Takasi,
Yep.
Floor Leader Yetilman, President Kilian,
Here.
Mr. President, 19 delegates are present.
Thank you very much, Chief Clerk. Therefore, we have a quorum. We can transact business for today's session. Moving on, item 4. Adoption of journal. Mr. Floor Leader,
So this is,
is called for.
Mr. President, I move that we defer the journals, adoption of journals until tomorrow.
Any second?
Tomorrow.
It's been moved and seconded that we defer action on the adoption of journal. No discussion. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Say nay. Motion carried. Moving on, item 5. Chief Clerk,
Mr. President, we do not have any communications.
thank you. Item 6, unfinished business.
None, Mr. President.
Thank you, Chief Clerk. Item 7, reports of committees.
Mr. President, as of now, we do not have any reports of committees.
Thank you. Moving on, item 8, first reading of committee proposals.
None also, Mr. President.
Thank you. Item 9, second reading of committee proposals.
We do not have any, Mr. President.
Number 10, item 10, final reading of committee constitutional amendments.
None, Mr. President.
Item 11, consideration of resolutions.
Mr. President, we do not have any resolutions at the moment.
Thank you. Item 12, Introduction and referral of delegated proposals and resolutions.
Mr. President, we do not have a referral sheet.
If anyone has other measures or proposed amendments to introduce? Yes. To introduce, we're on item 12. Okay, moving on. So whoever has proposals can introduce. Item 13, special orders.
Short recess, Mr. President.
Recess is called for. Session, Mr. Floor Leader.
Can we now go back to 11?
Certainly do. Can.
11?
If no objection, we'll go back to item 11, consideration of resolutions.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we suspend Rule 62 of our Rules of Procedure to allow us to consider these two amendments to our Rules of Procedure.
Any second? 3 minutes. Been moved and seconded that we suspend the rules pertaining to the amendments, introduction. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carried.
Point of order, you need a 2/3 vote to suspend the rules. So you're going to have to do a roll call vote.
I call Mr. Floor Leader, again. We're voting on the motion to suspend Rule 62 pertaining to amending the rules. So I have called for voting. Mr. Floor Leader, can you clarify?
Yes, Mr. President, so, we didn't hear any nay vote in the, when we voted, so I would recommend that you just declare that we have, it was a unanimous decision.
Thank you, Mr. Floor Leader. For that understanding, I hereby declare that the voting which is still on that particular motion is unanimous voting, therefore it was carried. Okay, moving on, any other matters? So now we're dealing with that matter. Yes. Discussion.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I move
Floor
that,
Leader.
I move that we adopt the proposed amendment to Rule 2, I believe, allowing those who are joining the meeting virtually, especially here in Bonneville, who are in quarantine. So, is that clear?
That's your motion, so any second? Yeah?
Mr. President, can I restate?
Can you go ahead and restate the motion, Mr. Floor Leader?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. So, I move that we adopt the proposed amendment to our rules of procedure, especially rule number 2, that we see here on the screen.
Okay, motion, any second?
Yes, please. Just, we're suspending 62 and it's
62. There was no intention to suspend that portion on the minimum requirement of votes to be cast, for it to pass. Thank you.
Thank you. Therefore, that's your motion. Any second? Oh. Okay. Oh, that was clarification of the motion that we just passed to amend the rules. So it's already passed, so now we can move on. Okay, Mr. Floor Leader.
I thought there was a motion on the floor. No second.
Okay,
I second the motion to amend the rule to include those who in quarantine in Pohnpei to participate virtually.
Second.
that's your second. So you're seconding to his main motion to do that. So no one can also second to his second. It's out of order, those subsequent motion. All right, it's been moved. It was seconded that we do that. So discussion for the record is clarified. Let's stick to the point and move on. All right. Any other discussion on the main motion at hand? Okay. If none, let's vote on the main motion as proposed. I vote for all. All show of hands. All those in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. Chief Clerk, take a tally.
Oh, including, not including them. They're voting, not including them.
All right. It's clear, majority. All those opposed, should raise your right hand. So no opposition. Sorbino? Nobody's. Chief Clerk, say your tally. What's your tally on the vote?
Mr. President, with the actual show of hands in favor of the motion is, there's a total of 16 votes. In opposition, none.
Thank you. Therefore, the motion carried. Our rules has been amended accordingly. So, okay. Let's move on, Mr. Floor Leader.
Short recess.
Short recess is called for.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I move that we adopt the proposed amendment to Rule 28A on committee quorum.
Any second? It's been moved and seconded that the proposed amendment to the rule pertaining to 28A on committee quorum be adopted. Discussion? If none, let's vote. All those in favor, raise your hand. Right hand. And those on the screen, they got to voice their vote. All those opposed, raise your hand. Right hand. Soja. None. So I guess unanimous. Okay, it's clear now, Chief Clerk. Read the tally.
Mr. President, with the actual show of hands, we have a total of 16 yeses and no opposition.
Thank you. So the amendment to our rule is unanimously adopted. Thank you. All right. So moving on. Now we're back to the order.
There's one more.
Yes. Floor leader.
This
Oh,
one.
sorry. Floor leader. The
Mr. President, I move that we adopt the proposed amendment to Rule 50 on introduction of proposals.
Second. Any second? It's been moved and seconded that we also adopt the rule for amendment of Rule 50. Our rules. Discussion? If no discussion, let's vote. All those in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. Dali. All those opposed, raise your hand. Right hand. Okay, so the tally, Chief Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have 15 affirmative votes and none in opposition, Mr. President.
Thank you, Chief Clerk. Therefore, the second amendment to our rules is hereby amended. Third. Okay, now, our rules have been amended as we had discussed previously in the foregoing discussion, motions. So now, those are the amendments to our rules which have been adopted. So moving on, item 13, special waivers. Chief Clerk,
None, Mr. President.
thank you. Item 14, miscellaneous business. Does anyone have any other miscellaneous business for discussion by this our confession?
Mr. President,
Yes, Vice Chairman Chor.
just to clarify, the actions we took to amend our rules is in line with the intent when we originally amended the rules. And it does not take away from anything that Delegate Susaya may have said on record or the votes that he may have participated in. It was just to clarify the intent.
Thank you.
And I take it that that will be, those will be.
Thank you very much, Vice Chairman Chor, for that clarification, and it shall be noted. And
Mr. President,
yes, Delegate Naich.
thank you, Mr. President. My respect to all of you, delegate colleagues. A while ago, the expression, the open up a can of worm was used. The I would like to highlight that because I fear that we may use that as an excuse not to further discuss or deliberate on issues before us just because we are fear of some uncertain matters that are somewhere out there or are not even out there. What's wrong with precedents? Why don't you look back in the last 2 or 3 constitutional conventions and see whether our rules of procedures are consistent with what has been practiced in the past? I say this in reference to the situation where some delegates may have other government obligations that they have to fulfill. Yes, this is a special gathering, the Constitutional Convention, but we are part of a government that, Mr. President, you have to determine or balance the interest of the whole government, not just the Constitutional Convention. So I appeal to us that before we use opening up a can of worm, that we'll look further beyond that. We'll look at precedents. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Delegate Knights, for that, your good statement. Thank you. All right, any other matters on miscellaneous? If none, item 15, announcements. Does any of you, Chairperson, Chairman of various committees, have any announcements to make
Mr.
for
President,
meetings? Chairman Fritz?
thank you very much. I just want to remind members of your Committee on Finance and Revenue that we have hearings tomorrow in our allotted time from 1 o'clock to 2:30, and if nobody else is using this place, we continue. Otherwise, we wait for the next session day, and we will be meeting with MRA representatives, Petrocorps, and telecoms for tomorrow. These are merely information gathering regarding the sources of revenue that comes into this nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Chairman Fritz, for that announcement. Any other announcement? Yes. Chairperson Sikra?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is to let everyone know that there should also be a notice going out. The Committee on General Provisions will have our meeting tomorrow. It's our allotted time at 8:30 in the morning. This is on proposal PR 4-22 and 4-50. This is relating to land. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson Sikra, for the announcement. The committee will meet tomorrow here at 8:30, 8 to 10 o'clock. Right. All right. So those of us who have to be here, we try to be here on time. Any other announcements?
Mr. President.
Yes, Chairman Fritz.
Well, I can do this tomorrow, but in case I forget, on Thursday, your committee will continue to hold hearings. First with the Department of Finance, and then Department of Foreign Affairs, and others, Mr. Vice Chairman. And on Friday, Development Bank and the Congress. We've sent out appropriate notice and naming appropriate witnesses, and we expect them to come with the necessary information that we requested. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman Fritz.
Mr. President,
Chairman Nabayan.
may I inquire what time Thursday you're having your hearings?
You respond to that?
Thank you very much. I believe the good chairman of the Committee on Civil Liberties was generous enough to allow me to use his time in the morning on Thursday. So that's it.
That's 8:30, yes.
Mr. President, just to announce that the Committee on Government Structure and Functions are having a meeting tomorrow at 1 o'clock, Thursday. Tomorrow's Thursday.
Yeah, not tomorrow because it'll be conflicting, so.
On Thursday, on Thursday.
1
1
o'clock.
Yes.
Committee on Government Structure. Yeah, 1 o'clock on Thursday, not tomorrow at 1 o'clock. All right, thank you very much, Chairman Nabayan. Any Vice Chairman of Committee on Civil Liberties and Traditions? Chairman, was this here? Okay, if none, Chairman Simon, do you have any announcement on your committee?
Well, Mr. President, we had a 2 hours of meeting, 2 hour plus of meeting this morning on the 3 proposals that we worked on. I want to thank the committee members. I would like, we will be off for most of next week, perhaps all of this week, the rest of this week, early parts of next week, most likely. And I'm hoping that we can perhaps have a meeting at the end of next week with new ones coming up and one that we didn't finish earlier today. But we did, I think that your committee did a great job working on the 3 that was assigned to us. 2 are completed. 1 is just a little snack that we met, and we will work on more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman Simon. I know your committee was working very hard. Well, likewise the other committees, so continue your work because we already have about 2 weeks to go. All right, any other announcements from the other committees? Committee chairman, chairpersons, or delegation meetings or anything? Okay, if none, Mr. Floor Leader.
Mr. President, I move that the convention stands in recess until 10 o'clock tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Floor Leader. Any second? So it's been moved and seconded that we stand in recess until tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Since that motion is not debatable, I hereby declare. All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed, say nay. So our meeting is hereby in recess until tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Thank you.